We would like to welcome to the podcast a new sponsor for 2025, HRO Adventures. Rusty and Jackie run the ultimate outdoor adventure location outside of Coulee City, Washington. Rusty provides world-class guided mule deer hunts, guided or DIY pheasant hunts, and other upland bird hunts too. If you have a special occasion coming up, a special corporate outing that you would like to set up, or a place that you would like to do your own private group training, give Rusty a call today. He specializes in the custom experience. Everything from hunting to bird watching you can find at HRO Adventures. Look them up at HROadventures.com and HiddenRanchOutfitters.com. Tell them Dave sent you. Well, welcome everybody to the HRO Adventures podcast, episode number 18. Rusty, we survived 18 of these.
We're starting to get to know each other, Dave.
I think so.
How you doing?
Great. How have you been?
I heard you got to fly this week, but you didn't actually get to fly.
I got to ride as a passenger.
You got to ride. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. That sounds pretty cool.
Went to Nashville, checked out some historical stuff, presidents' houses and things like that, and then some live music. So
very cool. Well, you can't ever go wrong going to Nashville.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be
that's
always
a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
So I got to get cleaned up here at the end of the week and go back and do what I'm supposed to remember how to do.
There you go. Well,
how about you?
You know, I had a great week. The week was busy as we're getting ready for the vet to come in because of the shooting reserve.
It's that time.
And making sure that all the birds are healthy and everything's good. And,
I forgot about all the medical stuff.
we got a clean bill of health today, and so I was all smiles this morning, and things are just looking good.
Excellent.
It was nice. There was a little shower last night, so everything was nice and cool. So we didn't get anything. That's the worst thing about it in the summertime is working birds when it's hot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stress.
They don't deal with hot and dry very well, do they?
They don't deal with it.
And how many birds are you up to now?
We haven't got any new ones. I mean, because the new ones the last set of new ones came in the 1st of July. But we still got a pretty fair amount. Okay. We started filling the last pin.
Okay.
So I've got one more group that a couple of weeks we'll put in there, and then that'll fill that last pin.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, watching the kids fill all the feeders today, running around, I just started going, boy, I'm going to need some money because I'm feeding more and more birds now. They're getting hungrier.
Going to eat you out of house and home, aren't they?
And then those hot dogs, I don't even know if they chewed them; they just swallowed them. So. Yeah, that's where kids go.
Well, we're coming to everybody from the Wenatchee Valley Museum and Cultural Center in Wenatchee, Washington. We are in the Apple classroom of the Apple Industry Exhibit. So this whole wing of the building is all old-style Apple processing and just some neat inventions and unique,
it's very
unique
cool
ideas
here.
On how they were able to make all that work, isn't it?
I was trying not to be distracted, but I couldn't.
That's all I am is distracted at this point.
There is something to look at all the way around.
There's one cool machine after another.
Absolutely. And how we got here is kind of interesting. We've all met Ron on the podcast as a landowner, and we all know that Ron is also the video guru for us on YouTube. So those of you that are watching on video, Drylander.com does a great job for us as far as putting the videos, because you and me don't want to do that.
It is above my technical ability.
It's way above mine. So I appreciate what Ron does and everything. But Ron has introduced me to the guys down here at the museum and to Jeff. And it's so Jeff and I have been talking for, 3 months at least. And we've brought it up on the podcast many times, how we've tried to get down here to get to visit with you. And to be able for you to host us here, I want to tell you, it's kind of an honor to be able to come to the museum.
Very special.
It is. It's pretty special for us to be able to come into a place like this.
It's a pleasure to have you guys here. It's a special place.
It really is. And, Ron speaks so highly of you guys. And me personally, I got to meet you guys on a tour. Ron's been very always wanted to work with me. He enjoys how Hidden Ranch Outfitters and my wife and I take care of people and do our business and everything. He's always wanted me to come in to take people out and show them on his property and everything else. And that's a unique thing for landowners to let people onto their property.
Is, yeah.
And to have somebody watching over it, and I take that as a compliment from Ron to be able to do that for him on his property. And that's just worked right into mine. But to have you guys out last year, I think it was, that we went and took that tour and kind of ran around listening to you guys. I didn't do a lot of talking on that trip. I got to be the chauffeur. I was just doing the driving, absolutely. And we went out, and I still tell stories too. I had a hunter out the other day, and I was telling him stories about, I says, yeah, I brought these guys out, and I said, you see these scratches in the rocks right here? And he's looking at me going, he goes, what are you talking about? And so it was just fun to have knowledge that I never knew. Grown up, walked across those rocks many times. So, Jeff, I want to thank you for letting us come here and inviting us in and letting us come down. It's great to have you on the podcast.
Good to be here.
I want you to tell us who you are, what your experience is, how you got here, and how this all is tied in for you.
I moved to Wenatchee in 2022. Spent 42 years in Hawaii as a boat captain, recreation park management at Western Washington University, and recreation's been a big part of my life. I knew I was going to work outside, outdoors, Forest Service, park ranger, anything but in an office. So I made the ocean my office for...
There is a theme here.
42 years, yeah.
None of us could be contained in a cubicle, I think.
And people used to, I'd take them out on the boats in Maui, and they go, God, you got it going on, man. You got it made. You're living the dream, dude. And I say, you know what? But I miss the seasons. I'm from the Northwest and moved up from San Francisco to the West Side, lived on Lake Washington, had a ski boat, so I was in with the crowd.
There you go. There you go.
Boating was a big part of our upbringing here. Dad had ended up with a 50-foot trawler, and so a lot of boating experience. When I moved and retired in 2020, I ended up building a automotive clear coat repair shop over on 5th Street. I did that for about 2 years, and I got done with that, and my wife was vigilant. She kind of filled me out. She goes, hey, AmeriCorps is interviewing. And I said, AmeriCorps, what's that? It's they're volunteers. So I took the hint and went down and sat for an interview. And they said, well, there's an opening at the museum, and would you like to interview there? And I said, sure. I wanted to be part of this community when I got here. I landed right in the middle of it, and I am so thrilled to be here, after 3 years with AmeriCorps, and now the gates open for me. So program and tours coordinator, that's kind of right down my alley. I'm a land captain now, so.
Yeah, there you go.
Same. That's cool.
I got river in front of me, and I got mountains behind me, and I'm back in the Northwest, so just really loving the being in Wenatchee in the middle of the state.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Well, Ken and Brent were great on that trip that we took. So you got some good guys behind you to do some tours with.
Yeah. As a program and tours coordinator, I've done geology tours with Ken Lacey, Brent Kunderla, all over your, well, not in your area of, Steamboat Rock and some of Banks Lake, but up on the plateau when you invited us up there, that was a treat that I believe everybody would be interested in learning the history. And, they're looking at scratch marks and interpretations, and I'm looking at the views up there over at Bridgeport and out in the Methow, and it was a fascinating opportunity to, engage in the history, your family history, and Ron Lewis's. I mean, to me, that's
their family histories are amazing, aren't
they? Well, they go back hundreds of years, or over 100 years, and it's just it's very interesting.
And seeing the relationship that you folks had with the land up there, generationally.
Yeah,
that's intriguing. Yeah. And to be on private property, and I was raised outdoors in California, and being on somebody's property, you should ask first, and be respectful.
Yeah.
And we're talking about doing some tours out there at some point, and I said, we don't want to bring a 50-passenger bus out here on these roads and tear them up. I said, how about respect, right?
Have a snack shop and sell T-shirts.
And Ron and I have been on the Conservation District has done that. Put 2 or 3 buses together and had the producers and landowners and all different department heads and different things all sit together and go around and see different things.
Oh, wow.
And so it's been done up in our area where they've had the buses. It's also been done poorly. Some of those tours were really great. But some of those, we got the buses into places they shouldn't have went. We should have done things a little bit differently and different things. And everybody learns as they go. Yeah. And that's something
putting a tour together is not as easy as it sounds, right?
Absolutely.
To keep people safe when there's elements or machinery or anything. So,
And so, having your 40 years experience as boat captain, dealing with tours, dealing with people, it's priceless when you come to put together these tours.
I've met a lot of people, and I love people, and you know what? It's
I've business. That's right.
Only had 86 a couple off the boat even before we left the dock. It's about the good of the many versus the good of the one. But here in this situation here, people that come to the museum, I get to lead tours through all the exhibits here. I've learned about them, the history, and it captivating, and try to make people understand that what we're doing here, and the age of the museum period. People have been coming here for a long time, but we want to amplify that with our mission statement. To protect and preserve and educate and share the history with the community and the history of our industries, the apple industry and farming. And there's a lot going on in that area.
There is a lot.
I like your perspective, though. You come to the museum and you can see the old history, how apples were sorted. I say that because it's just in the other room. I had to walk through, and so you see some of those kind of things. But just on my drive down here, I'm going by these huge buildings that they have come into, sorting facilities and cold storage, and how that has all progressed. You can't bring that into the museum. You've got to be able to get out and see some of that. And so how does that work for you?
The scale of it,
Yeah.
Well, we're sitting on top of this side of the building here was built in 1929. The Department of Agriculture, the letters are still on the door in gold leaf writing right here.
I noticed that.
To the water cooler, and so down below us is actually storage bunkers that were built with big 6-inch thick doors, just like a bomb shelter down there. And there's a bunch of bays where they actually studied apples and putting them to sleep, keeping in cold, dark areas, and seeing how long they'd last. So this all led up to the study of apples with the
That's cool.
Washington State Apple Commission, creating guidelines, very strict guidelines for apple sorting and grading and quality of apples. It was very important in Wenatchee to produce the #1 apple that everybody wanted, and the marketing on it and the branding. When they saw an apple from Wenatchee, it's like, wow, Wenatchee's the apple capital of the world.
And I've seen them in Mexico, South America, Latin America. I've seen apples with the Washington sticker on it. Come from Wenatchee, so yeah.
Well, in this picture that's behind us right now, or behind me, your guys' side, I didn't realize how many orchards were actually.
That's what I mean by the scale. It just kind of makes you stop
This
and
is
think
1913 on this side, and this is 2021 on this side, and you can see how the river channel wound around up, towards Stemelt, and water was an important program, as far as bringing water to this area. The soils were here, and thanks to the great glaciers and the ice age that came through here, this is amazing fertile valley for apple production. But when they added water ditches, they had farmers got together and pitched in and built a ditch from Peshastin side, and they brought water in from Canyon #2. And that was above us up on the Northwestern Avenue side, and that all trickulated down, and you're looking at it.
And it took some cooperation and teamwork to make this work for everyone, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a cool team sport too.
It is fantastic. Yeah.
And as a result, when the railroad came through in 1897, by 1903, the first box load cars of apples went over the hill to Stevens Pass, to Seattle, and history was made at that
Probably
point
went
in time.
to the Pike Place Market, probably.
The railroad played an important part in that too.
Absolutely.
Transportation,
Yeah, well, transportation and water, right, makes some things happen. So, well, I noticed when I came in, there's some remodeling going on. What's going on with your museum?
There's going to be, by 2035, we want to be the focal point of Washington here. I can talk about it now because it's on the website. We'll be doing a remodel, upgrade to the museum, and I'll read it here for you. By 2035, Wenatchee Valley Museum and Cultural Center want to be the premier destination that everybody wants to visit and a source of pride for the community, region, and state. Anchor technologically current, meaningful, engaging, interactive, collaborative experiences in our museum and beyond, so we're looking at being the focal point in preserving our history and a world-class place to visit. So
that's cool.
By 2027, we are going to hopefully, towards the end of 2027, be completely upgraded with a new experience. We're going to keep these same exhibits and just upgrade them. Interactive. It's going to be really interactive. When you hear the great floods coming down the canyon up there, you're going to be going like this. So.
The building will be rumbling.
Yeah.
That's going to be cool.
Perfect. Well, so just to make sure listeners keep that in mind, especially education folks with Washington State history and some of the other courses, this could be a premier place to take a field trip, right? And put on your, both from educators and students. And I think from what I see, pretty much all ages, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could go elementary through high school with what I see out there and how those work. It would be interesting to all those ages. So
we're tapped into the school district here, grades 1 through 6, 1 through 7, and 8. We just completed 4 weeks of summer camps.
Wow.
We did robotics. We've got robotics shop. We've got 3D printer classes for adults coming up. We're totally tapped into education and all age groups. Cool. Especially with from 4, 5, and 6 and under. We've got Coyote's Corner. It's a learning center, and that's going to be completely developed. For learning for the littles.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
Great. And it's I think it was a 2-hour drive. It's not that big a deal to come over from the west side. So
yeah, absolutely.
Definitely would enhance the Washington State history syllabus. I've seen some of these pictures, like the labels in those textbooks, right? Yeah. And it'd be neat to come over and see and hear the stories about how the different packing places had competitions and things like that. So it kind of, again, would bring it alive. So it's pretty neat. So
it was pretty cool.
Cool.
It is very cool. Well, I look forward to seeing that.
Yeah, that'd be neat.
So, yeah, very much so.
So what's going to happen is we're going to be displaced, and we need places to go, and some tours. I'll be working on caravan-style tours is what we're working on now. We just did, Wellington train disaster tour up to Stevens Pass, and we did a caravan tour. 10 cars, and we charge by the car, so it's very economical. You want to put 10 people inside of a Volkswagen, it's have at it. So we've done caravan-style tours, and that would work great up in your neck of the woods there.
Yeah, really would.
With a lead car and a car in the rear, just to make sure, because you can get lost up on that side up there. When I went up to visit.
And we talked about that as we were driving you guys around, because you and I really had to. I really wanted to know just exactly what are we going to be looking at, and how are people going to want to move around, because there's so many places that are going to be interesting that we need to stop. And so, are they safe places? We're going to be able to allow the landowners that are up there to continue to farm their fields, move their cattle, take care of their day-to-day business while we're bringing a tour through. And I think that's super important. I think the landowners would appreciate
Oh yeah, definitely.
If we're working with them, and we're being polite to them and making sure that they can continue on their day-to-day process. And most landowners are very proud of where they live and where they work and the land that they're taking care of. And
well, it's important for, say, folks from the west side who maybe just live in cities to see. Like I came up to see the rock formation, but so that's what a combine looks like.
That's
right?
Exactly.
Like, like I didn't realize I was so involved with the trucks driving next to it, and so again, it's sharing what the lifestyle is.
The old style with the new
I think
technology.
It's all part of that, knowing where your food comes from or any of that kind of stuff.
And so as we put these together, we're going to learn as well what works and what doesn't, and what people are actually looking for. Because the diversity up there we found, or that I found out, and I think you kind of, I was watching you a lot as we were going around, because Brent and Ken can talk about all that stuff. And, I've taken quite a few people on Ron's property to go look at birds or to go look at wildlife, and be able to do that. I specifically know what their attraction is, what their interest is, and what they're looking for. And the same thing came up in our little tour up there was, are we looking for, erratics, or are we looking for, how things were formed, or are we trying to find new things? Well, that's one of the things that has come up, is there's people that are wanting to, they're changing their theory on how the ice lobe moved and dammed up the rivers and changed that topography up there.
Yeah, there's renewed interest.
Yes, there's renewed
maybe
interest.
We didn't know all that we thought we do, right?
And some of the guys that have come up have already looked at it and go, hey, this is sediment. Here we are, 800 feet above the river, but why are we seeing a lake sediment up here? And of course, I called those things, the chalk hills forever.
That's
as
right.
I was growing up, and then all of a sudden now they're important.
Now you get an idea of how they got there.
Exactly.
How important it is.
There was an ocean here? Wait a minute.
Talking about education, awareness, and respect, for the farming industry up there, but the views and being up on top of that area, it's peaceful, but there's a lot going on. So and I brought up the respect of the property owners up there, because I've been called out a couple of times when I was a kid, sneaking over the hill.
Sneaking over the hill, yeah.
You want to know what's going on over here? You come talk to me, and I'll show you what's going on. So I ended up working for this guy on his ranch on the weekends, and taking care of horses and cutting greasewood.
Well, and Ron tells stories on the podcast about people coming and their dogs running around and spreading seeds because they just were down in a weed patch someplace else, and people just don't realize some of that stuff, and then probably the worst situation that I know of, some geology. I don't know if it was a group or if they were actually studying something. There was a very interesting place they needed to get to go look at, and it's all on private property, and the only access into there is through private property. And they assumed they knew that they were out of harvest season or whatever else, and they went through the property and opened gates they shouldn't have, and got into an area where they shouldn't have, and actually ran into the cowboy that owned the property and was moving cattle. And
with open gates around.
He was not happy. And so those kind of things, it takes time to heal that and to overcome that. And and I'm hoping, with that, with my friendship and I share fence with that particular landowner, that relationship that I have with him, if we could come up with something. What can we do to mitigate
less
so
invasive.
this doesn't happen? I'll talk to you, you talk to me. We won't. Both sides can accomplish something.
Sure,
without.
It just takes a little pre-planning.
It just takes a little pre-planning.
Heads up, right?
Coordination.
And just
showing up when somebody's
absolutely.
swamped today is not super helpful.
I know just through my leases and with my hunting that I have landowners that say, do not put anybody out here without you.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
You know, they're very specific. I have to be with them.
Yeah. They're tired of picking up trash.
That's because
gates
if
not
there was trash,
opened,
they're not going to call
Nope.
Jeff. They're calling Rusty
you.
and saying, hey,
Yeah.
you know, you brought this group out here, and then look what they did. And
Yeah,
it's like,
Rusty
that's not
can
gonna
open both hunting and, geologic touring access because we're properly vetted. We've made the relationships, right?
And because Ron has brought this up, and because we did the trip with Jeff and Ken and Brent last year, we've cultivated some relationships with some of the landowners up there that we know we can get access through, that we can get access into things, and we can do some of these tours like you're talking about.
This is access and up close. Like you can't get that any other way. So
well,
it's just a unique option you have.
So I thought the hunter made fun of me when I told him about the scratches in the rocks the other day. And then we went way down in and we were hunting and we did our thing. And as we were coming back out, he goes, is this where the scratches in the rocks are? So I knew he'd listened. And I said, yeah, you want to stop and look at them? He goes, yeah, I better, because if I tell my wife about this, she's going to say, well, you didn't look at him? And so we stopped and I walked him over and he goes, I said something that Ken had told me. And he goes, you know about these? I said, no, I do not.
Of course I do.
I says, I would love to be the smartest guy right now.
But Geology 101 book in the truck.
I just learned about these scratches last year.
Like 20 minutes ago.
I said so. You know, it was kind of fun. And it was just like when you guys, you know, I just threw it out there, about my family and how their time and where they homesteaded and different things. And you guys picked right up on it. Well, we're here looking at rocks, and now we're talking about Rusty's genealogy and where my family lived and did everything.
And,
so,
you know, how do you farm where there's giant rocks like that all over the place, you know? I mean,
how many fires as that little blade went over stuff, right?
It's a pioneer force, you know? I was totally impressed with that. And
yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
Yeah,
it's a
that
unique,
somebody like that could go, okay, I think I can work with this.
Situation, you know, to be up there.
Yeah.
And I took a bunch of pictures of those scrapes, by the way, and I still
Did you? I do remember you taking those pictures.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I took Ron over we went over to Banks Lake. My family, actually, we have wheat fields that go right to the top of the wall, the plateau there, right where it breaks off into Banks Lake. And I took Ron over there, and I was telling him the story. I says, you see that you can see farmer's house on the other side of the coulee, you know, and they're farming over there. And I says, I went to school with, one of the kids that lives over there. And I says, him and I are still really good friends. We went to college together. And I says, his little brother, I said, they run cows on our side too, you know. And I says, his little brother came by the house one day. And I says, and we were talking. And I says, and then I went over hunting over there by their place. And I says, I come back, and his little brother comes out and flags me down. He goes, hey, Rusty, he says, you know how your wife piled those rocks around your house and did the driveway and everything? And I says, yeah. And he goes, oh, my wife would love to do that. And I says, knock yourself out. And he goes, we don't have any rocks over here. He says, can I come over to your house and get some rocks? Are you kidding me? Well, now I've paid attention. And they don't have rocks on that side of the coulee. We have all the rocks on my side.
It's like they just stopped.
I told the next time we were hanging out with those guys, I says, why did your grandfather stop on that side and mine come on this side? Because I says, I grew up picking rocks.
Yeah,
you guys don't know what picking rocks is all about. So, but it's just the topography, and it's how the ice lobes came and how things moved around. And, I never thought about any of that, how the water rushed over the ground or whatever. But, it was very interesting.
Listening to Brent and Ken, talk about, how this happened and how that happened. And I'm like, here we are 1,000 feet up, and there was 1,000 feet of ice going over the top of it. I'm just, trying to put it all together in my head. Yeah. So you go out to these places, and you don't really get what happened. And so when you're with these guys, they're talking about the technology and what happened and the forces and this and that. And I'm like, holy smokes. So there's a lot to learn up there.
Yeah. There is.
About history, family, heritage and science and geology, and this is what makes this area so special in my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I want to let's take a break for a quick commercial, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about some examples of what's out there for folks to see. Sound good?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Snoqualmie Inn by Hotel America is the perfect location to stay at when visiting the Snoqualmie Valley. With 99 guest rooms, the inn can accommodate travel sports teams and seminars in addition to valley visitors. Enjoy the breakfast buffet, fitness center, and indoor pool before starting your activities. Coaches and parents alike will enjoy the spacious meeting rooms and lounging areas with food and coffee retailers, all within steps of the front door. Use promo code SNOWPOD for 12% off. Teams contact Lori Hay for reservations and discounts. Make the Snoqualmie Inn part of your stay. And don't forget to use the promo code SNOWPOD, that's SNOPOD in all caps.
Well, welcome back to the HRO Adventures podcast. Rusty, what are some examples between your and Ron's properties of the different geological formations people can come see?
Oh, absolutely. Ron's property and my property are probably, as the crow flies, I would just have to, I never really measured it out, but I'd guess it between 30, 35 miles.
I've flown it as a crow.
Yeah, you fly it a little faster than the rest of us.
I text Rusty, hey, I'm coming over your property here in about 20 minutes.
Be there in about 2 seconds.
I told you I was in a hurry to get here today, and you weren't impressed how fast I drove. So, yeah.
I'm always impressed.
He said he was coming in hot.
And I was. I was glad I didn't talk to anybody professionally about it.
Flaps down, nose up on the flare.
Exactly.
So,
so what do we have out there between, about 30-mile stretch, so between those two quite different places?
And, very, very much different. You know, on my side of the plateau, I'm on the east side of the plateau, about 8 miles from Banks Lake. So I'm up on top of the bluff there. Anybody that's fished or, recreated in that area would recognize Banks Lake. It's the 30-mile reservoir that they pump out of the Columbia that feeds all of the Columbia Basin project for irrigation. And so that coulee is one of the channels that's been carved out and different things. And so it leads right into Dry Falls, which is one of the big places that people like to go and visit. Mick Walters down there at Dry Falls is a really good interpreter for the state parks.
Yeah, there's some neat places with interpreters here just in the middle of nowhere.
Absolutely. And he's a good friend, and my kids went to school with his kids.
Cool.
And so I've got to know him pretty well, but he's a great one. He would come up and do talks for us if we wanted to. He's just that good of a guy. But that's my side of the plateau. But as you move to the west and you get closer over to where the Columbia River is flowing south, and you get over to Ron's property, he lives right above Wells Dam. Okay. So you get up there on top, and I call them erratics, and I was corrected in the car because Brent goes, well, everybody calls those erratics, but they're really not erratics. Those are the same rock that they're sitting on top of, and so it doesn't count.
Oh, that's the definer, huh? Okay.
I says, I'll defer to you
You
when it
had
comes
me
to
at
that.
rock.
But Ron lives within just a couple of miles of actually Boulder Park, which is one of the national historic sites. And, I've always driven around Boulder Park growing up there and, just being a kid and a farmer around there and going on the conservation tours and things. And Boulder Park is full of these, we called them haystack rocks, as locals did. And there is a lot of those when you go around. And there's some famous ones, actually. Oh. Some that have been named and some that have been showed up in other YouTubes and different things. Richard Waite, which is one of the longtime, very well known. He's been up there in that area, and he's been filmed standing next to, there's a very famous one that's right before the town of Mansfield, between the road between my house and Mansfield, that every senior class for the last 100 years from Mansfield goes out and paints their number on the rock out
Taking
there.
a picture of it too.
Yeah, absolutely. It is very famous. It is very famous. And so, luckily, I didn't graduate from Mansfield, so I had no part in painting on that big rock.
Got to wonder how thick the paint layer is on that thing.
And that's probably one of the most things that you can recognize from the air. You can see that from a commercial airline that's flying over. You can see Boulder Park very well. And that's something that's very easily seen on a tour that you can take people out and show them. When you get over to Ron's place, you start seeing where the glacier ice actually moved on the ground and scratched the rocks and did that and formed some of those basins out there. Brent showed me something that I can't remember exactly what the term was, but I wanted to say it was like a slough, or
could be,
that where it had been pulled out and the dirt had moved down the hill. Once he showed it to me, it was kind of like, oh yeah,
it makes sense, right?
I get it now. I get it.
Like a grader went through there,
Yeah, and but there's some ponds that have been carved out up there. Some other places you can go and see that you can get into the haystack rocks and the erratics up there and show those. Ron knows, and that's something that would be on a tour that you can only get to with some of the access, is some of these other rocks that are not from that area that have been moved up in there, and they're sitting in very places.
And here you got Brent and Ken going, that's not from here. That's, you know, and you're going, well, how'd it get here? And, you know, obviously the forces of nature, but they're able to pick all this stuff out. So I'm like hanging on every line going, okay, what else do you know?
It was very interesting. It was. It was fun. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff that you can see. Some of the other things then on my side, there is other geological universities that teach geology and different things. And some of those professors that they call and actually ask for permission over the years. I caught Simon Fraser out of Vancouver. The college up there or the university up there came down, and I caught 3 of these vans, these 15 passenger vans when they were using those. I caught 3 of them sitting on the side of the road. I knew right away what it was, and they were rented, so it didn't say Simon Fraser on the side, but I knew what it was. It was a class. And so I got up and parked my truck, and I walked up and I caught them and saw where they were at, and they were fine. So I stayed back and waited till they were done doing their things. But I believe they're called eskers, and they're these where things have been piled up and then left in a certain way.
Oh, okay.
And farmers farm around them and farm over them and through them and different things. And it's very interesting when those kids start looking at you like, oh, you're the guy that's farming all of this? Why are you farming all this? This is beautiful. And it's kind of like, yeah, well, I make a living out here.
Yeah.
And so
this whole idea happened way before you got here.
Yeah, exactly. And so, those are the fun things. Those 2 professors from Simon Fraser, I over the years, I got to really enjoy them.
Okay.
Because I would always just tell them, if you would just call me, and I would know what day you're coming in and when you're going to be here. I says, even if you just gave me a couple hours notice so that I don't stop and take time out of my day, that would help. Well, then, that from this time when I first caught these guys and said, hey, you guys don't have permission to be out here, and you guys are making footprints out here too and everything else. And guess what? I'm responsible for this. So get off. And we started this conversation, and I'm walking back with the 2 professors. Well, it ended up where there was times when they would call and ask, and then they would say, are you available? Because we have questions about the farming, and the kids always want to know why the farming and what things
these cool byproducts of the initial search, whether it's fishing or anything.
Yeah.
And
so
you learn so much more.
I don't need to have a PhD to actually help these kids that are working on PhDs or working on masters or whatever. And so it's just fun to be able to be part of that and help that out. And I think that's got to be something that Ron and I have talked about forever.
Yeah.
So that's, for those of you that are watching on YouTube, this chair that I keep leaning on was Ron's chair. Okay, so we can make fun of him now. I might cut this out, but he's not here because he had a plumbing leak or something at home. So, but yeah, he didn't get to make it today. And Jeff and I are reaping the benefit of that because Ron would be telling stories instead of us. But yeah, we're missing Ron today. We had set up for him to be here, but that's kind of answer your question.
Pictures that he shows, he has all those old pictures of his area and stuff too. Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah, he's very in touch with the Waterville. He works with what's the fellow's name up there?
Dr. Earl Cater.
Yes.
Okay.
Douglas County Museum. He's the curator and amazing. He's done many presentations here in our local erratics, Wenatchee Erratics Club. We are a member of the Ice Age Floods Foundation and the IAFI Institute, and so that Montana, Oregon, Idaho, and Washington are in that group of the IAFI. Wenatchee Valley Erratics does a great, every even month, second Tuesday of every even month, we have our meeting here at the Wenatchee Valley Museum and Cultural Center.
Sounds like we need to get involved in that.
Yeah,
I'm the treasurer, so I count what comes in, and we have wonderful people that contribute, that are not members. You don't have to be a member of the Wenatchee Valley Erratics, but you're more than welcome to come in and listen to the subject matter. And Dr. Earl's done some great work with the Yellowstone Highway series, which we talked about yesterday with Ron.
Yes.
And that actually opened up, travel and transit besides the railroad up to Mansfield, but the Yellowstone Highway, your area was, and Ron's area was isolated, and until they, a wagon train going up a hill, in McNeil Canyon, and then down from Dyer Mountain down to Bridgeport. I mean, that's amazing.
Survive.
Amazing
Very
history,
amazing.
Yeah,
and that whole Steamboat Rock, you got Northrop Canyon on the east side, and you got now I can't remember the one on my side. The Ferguson Trail was on my side of the canyon, and that is a fascinating thing to me to see how they built that by hand, brought them wagons up through that cut.
Yeah.
And that is just unbelievable.
Pure genius.
It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
They didn't have the mini excavator that we have.
No hydraulics.
No hydraulics.
Yeah, so Dr. Earl, I had some couple of fellas up in Oroville, and they're mining up there since they were kids, and on the Similkameen River, and they found 4 items that were meteorites in that category, and they called up. They said, "Gosh, we don't know who to call." And they looked up, "What do you do if you think you found a meteorite?" And they said, "Call your local museum." And so they called me up out of the blue, and they said, "We think we got some meteorites, and we just, we want to get them examined and stuff. Can you recommend anybody?" And so I said, "Well, bring them down. And, we'll put them in our collection for 90 days, no more, and I'll try to get some information on it." Well, I ended up getting Earl up there. He's got a meteorite collection in the Douglas County Museum, and
I didn't know that.
Definite meteorites
cool.
been proven. And so I hooked these guys up, and they came down from Oroville carrying this box of, like a baby. They were just, and gloves and everything like that, and took it up to introduce them to Earl. And Earl, just showed up, and he says, "Yeah, let's see what you got," And he goes, "Oh, that one's the real deal right there. That'd be my bet," And so at any rate, wonderful guy, knowledgeable and open, and so the Douglas County Museum is actually pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, small, but you know what? There's a lot of history packed in there.
Yeah, see, so now you're on the meteorites and stuff.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
I mean,
there we go.
It's an endless options out in this area.
As I came through today, I noticed it today, and it's funny because I drove this exact road, the same route. I didn't come down to Wenatchee though, but I came to Waterville last night.
Okay.
And as I came into town today, there is a Yellowstone Trail sign up there.
Oh,
and I didn't see it yesterday, so I don't know if he just put it up today, but it has not been bleached by the sun like the other sides. It looks new sitting there.
Ron went into depth yesterday on our phone call about the curator that has got all the blue books, and they're not the Kelly blue books for car values. They're blue books on exploring the Yellowstone Highway all the way from Minnesota and Dakota. Once that opened up, people went further and further, and you know, you got little gas stations and towns and services, and it just opened up a gateway for people to explore. And once they had a car, I mean, that's a feeling of freedom.
Yes.
And the Yellowstone Highway, that's coming. That whole thing, Ron is in. He's got all the receipts on that, so he's developing a program for that.
That is pretty cool, and that thing's kind of taken off. Talking to Ron, the hits on the website are just going up and up
huge.
and up, and he's everything that they continue to put on and collect is that Yellowstone Trail is going to be a big deal. And I had to promise Ron. I told him, I said, no, this is Jeff's show. And I says, for Ron, we'll do another one with Ron on the Yellowstone Trail. And he goes, yeah, I kind of want my own show. So,
all right.
And so, we'll talk about that.
There's the lead in.
There's the lead in right there. Absolutely. Exactly. That Yellowstone Trail site, though, I did get on it, and I will admit, Ron's going to hear this when he sees the deal, but I will admit, I got on the website because he's building it, right? And been building it for months now. And I got on. I was on there a long time. That thing is a rabbit hole. It is a rabbit hole.
One picture after another, map after map.
It was fantastic. There was. I didn't think it was going to be something that was really that gripping for me, but it was. It was. It's very interesting.
Road building 101.
Oh yeah.
You know, and up where you think about what went over Stevens Pass and Blewett Pass and Snoqualmie Pass. And McNeil Canyon and you know, all these places.
Well, as a history guy, westward expansion. How they did it and then why. Like, nobody was satisfied. They kept moving, right? And kept trying to get to the frontier or whatever it might be. And then they bring all that infrastructure with them, right? And so it opens places up. So it's almost like a domino effect of, you know, just how it goes from the primitive guy who does a settlement or homesteads up until, you know, city pops up or whatever, and next thing you know, the train's coming, and here comes the telegraph, and so it's just fascinating how it happens, and you can't stop it, right? You can't. You know,
Ron's house is just a couple miles from the town of Dyer. Okay, well, why isn't there still a town of Dyer? I mean, there's a whole history there just as much. You know, when we were hunting up there. It just cracks me up because this isn't even me, but you know, I hunt around that area now because on Ron's property, and we went to the town of Dyer and we turned. And the guy goes, "What are those old buildings?" And I said, "Oh, there used to be a town of Dyer down there." I said, "There used to be a couple streets, Main Street, the whole thing. It was all the town of Dyer." And I said, "It's just another one of those old towns that's no longer here."
Interstate moved.
And he goes, "Well, why was there a town here?" And I says, "Well, the road that we turned and we went down." I says, "When we turn and go down this road," I says, "it goes down to the river." And I said, "This road still accesses the river." And I said, "This is how you got up and over and got to Bridgeport, because you could not, you know, maneuver up the river any farther past Pateras." And I said, so this was the best way to get up and over the top of the plateau. And he looks at me and he goes, "Am I getting a history lesson now?" I says, "Absolutely." Well, I said, "This stuff, I know."
On isolationism and how we overcome isolationism.
Well, what is so interesting with what I do for the day job of flying is, so for example, I'll fly over the San Andreas Fault. And I mean, it looks angry. You can see what the plates are doing. You don't have to be a geologist to know. You probably don't want to build on that. You know what I mean? And there's so many, all the coulees and just the Rocky Mountains. I mean, you can see exactly what's happening and why it looks the way it does. And Grand Canyon. You know, I've flown, I don't know, thousands of times over the Grand Canyon, and yep, you're like, yeah, okay, that's what erosion does right there.
Well, from Moses Coulee down into the Palisades, that whole McCartney Creek, all that Sagebrush Flat stuff. You know, I know friends that are in there, and then the Nature Conservancy had lots of property in there. They've just transferred some of it over to Fish and Wildlife. How Fish and Wildlife still, to this moment, still has no clue how they're going to allow public access in there. And yet they've come out and said, yeah, we're now the owners of it. Well, because of my hunting connections, I know several people that are thinking, aha, I'm going to go in there and go hunting. TNC did a nice job, though. They were managed very, very well here not too long ago, and when they kind of did that, they worked into. They called and talked to me for a couple of years, and had me visit with them many times about how do you handle access into this, and how can we do that stuff. And I just shared my experiences with them, but it helped them lead into what was going to work for them.
That's neat that they would go that extra step.
Because they did allow some access in there. They put in things like if you would come and help us build fence, or take fence out, or build these structures to stop water from eroding or whatever. They would give you a permit to come in and hunt then. And so that was kind of interesting, and I don't know how it's worked on. Those people don't no longer work for Nature Conservancy, and I don't know the new folks. But yeah, and so all that's going to be interesting. You know, when I was talking with Mick Walters there, you know, he was telling me about all that Palisades stuff and how some of the tours have been down through that. And very interesting stuff.
Done them with Randy Lewis, and gone up and dug Chocolosa roots, you know, in the spring, and you know, Moses, Chief Moses Council Cave, and you know, I mean, so I've seen it from the native Wenatchee Piscosa.
That's cool.
Side of things, and then through with Brent and Ken both, you know, up the Devils, the Three Devils, and on up, you know. And getting that geology side of it, you know, and the history there from the Billingsleys. They're always so nice to come out and greet you as you're driving through their house.
You drive right
through their driveway.
Really? Wow.
You know, and they're very gracious. But, you know, in what you were saying with, you know, being able to go out and do some cooperative work, fence lines and maybe irrigation and drainage, you get to know the property then too.
Yes.
You know.
And, yes, you do.
Get some local knowledge on certain properties.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And that there's a lot of neat history and all of that out there.
And being in the field brings it alive a little bit, right? It does. The smell, the way the wind was moving, like you just don't get it from a book or from a PowerPoint or something. Right?
And that's just me growing up in Coulee City, you know, and I don't take Dry Falls for granted. And I don't know too many people around there.
You don't take it for granted? Is that what you said?
Yeah, for granted. Oh, they're wrong jokes.
But
but you know, you sit there and I appreciate everybody that comes and looks at it the first time and just was like, you know, blown away. Yeah. Okay, you know, and until you drive down, you know, it's like I was telling Dave. I said, Dave McWeller, I said, until you drive down to Umatilla Rock, it's impressive from here.
Yeah.
But when you drive down on that road underneath Umatilla Rock, you're like, okay, it's really big. And it's how did this handle all that water, and how did it handle those?
You get a perspective.
Boy.
The geologic time is hard to get a perspective, and there's a place in Alaska called the Exit Glacier, and it's a glacier that's receded or is actively receding. And the drive up, all it is pea gravel. That's all that's left. This thing has crushed everything. But what they did is they routed signs, 1959, 1962, 1973, and you're driving 2 miles going, so it was here like when I was born, and it was here when I was in 8th grade or high school, and there was always one at Mount Rainier National Park, giant round that was cut, and it was like the tree was this big, Christopher Columbus leaves, port, and it's like, and that tree was growing out here in the national forest. And so when you put a timestamp on those, or you can touch it, or get the access to get the photo you always wanted, because there's that golden hour for photographers, right?
Yeah.
It takes it to another level. It just makes it alive. It's pretty cool. But yeah, we were driving out going, so that I can now put in perspective how this has moved, and it's crushed everything. There's nothing left, just gravel. And you're like, well, that gives you an idea of just how fast it actually is moving.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And like I said, the Christopher Columbus, when the tree was about that big around, and this is when he arrived in America, and you're like, and that tree was growing out here on Mount Rainier, so. Yeah. Well, guys, it's time to take one more break.
Sounds good.
Hey there. Preacher Dave here with HRO Adventures. I love getting out into the beauty and the majesty that is Central Washington. Often when we're fishing, right over here, those times when we're not really actually catching fish, we're just sitting there, I'm wondering, is there really anything down there? There may not be anything, because if there was something down there, wouldn't it bite that deliciously fat worm that I've got garlic flavor on, hiding my hook? Of course, no amount of garlic is going to make me want to eat a worm, but nonetheless. When I think there isn't anything down there, and I say, I'm going to quit, just then, every fisherman knows this, you feel that bump on the line. Not a big one, just enough to say, hey, there is something down there. And then the big one hits. Bang! Line goes tight, and you're pulling. Wow! That something that's down there becomes something exciting. And that is so cool. When I look at the world around me, when I look at all of this beauty and this wonder, it's easy for me to think there's got to be something out there. There's got to be something. In Psalm chapter 8, it says, when I look at the heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars that you've set in place, what is man that you're mindful of him, or the son of man that you care for him? I'm led to the conclusion that there must be something out there. That something has to be creative. It's got to be powerful. It's the first cause of everything that I see. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's smarter than everything he created. I see those bumps that he created, reminding me that he's out there. The coolest thing is that creator also made you. That means he thinks you're valuable. He thinks you were worth creating. And if he thinks you are, I'll agree with him. This is Preacher Dave saying, I'm glad we're on this adventure together.
All right. Well, welcome back. We're getting close to wrapping it up, but I wanted to find out, so you guys, between the museum and you with Access, are getting ready to put together custom tours. So what is that going to look like?
He's asking us what a custom tour is going to look like.
Yeah.
Well,
we've got accommodations.
We
I can open the door here.
So, yeah.
I've been getting phone calls from the west side.
Yeah.
They've been watching our
Good.
website regarding our geology tours and native history tours. Our Stehekin tour on Memorial Day weekend has always been a big hit. We get 35 seats on the Lady Liberty and spend all day up in the High Bridge area. And those guys
cool.
up there, Patty and John and Robbie at the bakery, I mean, we brought 18 pies back from the bakery, and that's a record. The year before was 14 pies.
18 is the mark to beat. Okay.
Yeah, it's delicious and wonderful reception up there. And these guys, we had the convertible bus and we just chugging along there, and it's beautiful. But I've been getting these phone calls from the west side regarding geology tours. We are going to start next season with. We'll probably do Moses Coulee again.
And what would be the season like weather-wise? When can you access stuff?
From May.
May, okay,
yeah,
springtime.
March, May. Probably. Well, we do it March.
Okay.
End of March, but May, June, July. A little hot up there in the summer. On some of these.
Real dusty and fire days.
Fall. I know it depends
Fall
on
would be kind of a neat,
Brent's schedule and Ken's schedule, but the interest through our website about geology tours on this side, and I set the nugget the other day. I told you, I said we've got some private tour, something that's not on the regular tour schedule. We got options available, and I describe, Dyer Mountain and the experience we've had up there with Hidden Ranch Outfitters, Rusty Hunt, and all this wonderful access that you've given us up there, and we've talked about these tours, sure. And I said it's not a day tour. When you come over here, you want to spend a day and a half and more. And I said, Rusty's, got accommodations over here. You want to get the full experience. Yeah, and so there's interest. Yeah. And we're trying to reach out in our tours and my coordinating, trying to reach out marketing with our marketing specialist and her, Facebook and social media. Right. We're really trying to punch through that and get that interest out. So we've got that going for us. So that's one of the tools.
That's cool.
The other thing, we got opportunity from you. You got lodging over there towards Banks Lake, and so there's just more than an 8-hour canned trip. Yeah. There's a specialized.
That's a great point.
Opportunity that nobody else is doing it. Number one,
right?
It's special, historical, whatever your interest is, geology, history, or just getting out and farming and smelling the air and seeing the the geology of it all.
And we've done a little bit of the farming and other stuff too. But you bring up a great point, Jeff. I'm telling you, you're not going to see it in 4 hours. You're not going to see it in 8 hours. And if the more specific you get with you or with me and telling us what you're wanting to accomplish,
dial your interest in.
Yes.
Yeah. Let us know what that is, because you know what, the options are many, and I like being creative. In my role here.
Well, like we said, a lot of this stuff is photogenic, right? Whether it's the mountains or the formations, and so there's certain times where that sun is in the right spot for the perfect photo. So it'd be good if you knew that, so that you could help them make that happen.
And when you talk to, when you sit there and talk to Ron, and he talks about the history of just Dyer, the town of Dyer, 44 families lived between Dyer and the river, and I mean it's only 5 miles. Yeah. But it's windy and it's quite an elevation change.
Yeah. It sure is.
And when I told the hunter that, we were sitting down there and I was putting up a trail camera and we kind of went up and we sat on a hill for about an hour and we were just sitting up there quiet. And I says, can you imagine what we could see right now? Could you imagine we'd be looking at, 10 other families homesteaded up here? And he goes, no. I am not a pioneer spirit. He goes, I can't imagine. And I says, and we'd be able to hear them talking. I says, because I'm hearing other things.
Yeah, voices carry.
And they would carry when it's this calm and this quiet and this clear. So getting into that appreciation you and me were talking about, you're there to look at the rocks, or you're there to look at the formations or how things were, but you get lost in the view. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you start talking about, Ron starts talking about his grandfather or his great uncles and how they farmed this ground and how they did that, and then, with me and my family over on the Steamboat Rock side of things, that is just, that's just added things that we can throw into this, into all of this, and you get that.
Again, you just don't get it from a book or a map, right?
No, so you have to get out and
the
see
book,
it,
the map, and then the experience would make a pretty neat, make it all come together.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Well, Jeff, how can people get information on both what the museum has to offer or reach out if they have questions?
Go www. 3 W's and Wenatchee Museum and Cultural Center.org.
Okay.
Info at Wenatchee, info at www.wvmcc.org.
Okay.
Pretty sure that's what it was right there. Yeah.
I think you got it right.
And my personal email at the museum, jbecklund at wvmcc.org.
Okay.
I can answer questions. I love talking to people, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our curator of education, which is the apex of our creative tour ideas and bringing all of this together. and she's the one that,
Great.
when I started telling my story, when I interviewed with AmeriCorps, she's like, okay. And so kudos to Jeep. She's so creative, and it's about education. You know, there's many ways and many subjects that you can learn in doing what we're doing. So.
And you do have
Absolutely.
to approach them from creative, especially with social media and devices for kids and students and stuff, right?
Yeah.
This is a field
Absolutely.
experience that
Absolutely.
would surpass any of the online stuff you could do. So
Everybody here at the museum is so creative. We're tight. We're going the same direction. We're, you know, bringing it all together. If it's
perfect.
Events, we've got all kinds of events going. The Haunt. This is going to be a fog room and a maze out here. This whole thing, 2 weeks of transformation, and this is all dark and foggy and you know, scary.
Wow.
We got Night at the Museum coming upstairs, and this whole museum turns into a restaurant and speakeasy, and we feature wineries and cideries and restaurants in town.
That's pretty cool.
So the museum is a creative place to bring community. And so from all this,
right?
we can bring, you know, our community up on top of the plateau. And the ancient history up there. The megafauna that used to live up there, and our Clovis, people that lived, 13, 15,000 years ago. There's that page of history up there.
Yeah, there's a few up there.
We found our Clovis points right by the airport, and so there's the ancient history, and you can go back to 20,000 years when the miniature horses roamed this area.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that one.
We've got basalt arrowheads, points that had blood protein DNA that was matched with the Pleistocene horses, the miniature horses, 20,000 years ago.
I saw the layer map, and that basalt is down there a ways. So
Well, they found these
it's
points
not
above
up at the surface at all.
Rock Island, up on the
Okay.
overlook of Rock Island. They filed them when they built the dam, and then they went back and this technology of blood protein analysis it developed, and they went, well, let's
look
find
at
this
that.
blood in the
Look
at
pores
that.
of the basalt, and that they broke that story here at the museum. It was fascinating. So there's been people around here, up there,
So much
long
stuff
time.
Long
going on.
time. Long time. That's pretty cool.
mastodons, woolly mammoths, all that kind of stuff. There's a
That is
lot
pretty
going
cool.
on.
That is absolutely. Yeah, it was.
Well, Rusty, it's time to talk about your calendar and what's coming up here.
Man, I'm telling you what.
Mid-ish August.
Well, I've been bear hunting, so that's been kind of fun.
Yeah.
And then, but we got the archery guys coming in here in a couple weeks. But my phone is ringing off the hook.
All right.
With pheasant hunters. So if you're wanting to get into my, the cabins that I have and hunt, or even do one of these tours, you need to be calling me, because as soon as the pheasants start on the 26th of September, we're going to be booking all of those things.
And this is all preserve stuff,
these
right?
are all the shooting
so
reserve stuff.
don't get wrapped around the dates and the rules, right? We call you for times.
We've been updating the website.
Okay.
And as I'm learning from Ron, the more you update your website, the more popular it gets, and the more the search engines will put you up. And so every time we update the website, it seems like we get a boost. And right now we're updating the website, and so I don't even have the credit card in where you can buy online yet. And so guys are calling me going, hey, I need this weekend, and I can't buy online yet. And I'm going, okay, fine, give me your information. And so I'm putting it all down, and we've got guys that are already booking because they're so important on those weekends, or they need to get. So you got to get a hold of me.
So kind of like we've been saying on a lot of the podcast, if you just reach out and call you, we'll get it all squared away.
We can get it all squared away. Absolutely.
It's just, it works better than trying to do online calendars.
Right.
Because out of that conversation comes specifically what that person wants, right?
And right now, I'm dealing with a fella right now. He is trying to put together a package. And I always feel sorry for him.
Yep, I've been that guy.
Because
got 5 guys that can't come up with a schedule.
And none of the 5 will give him a schedule or help him out.
I know exactly
and
what's going on.
And then one of them asks one new question, so he has to call me again and try to get that question
I've been
answered.
that guy.
and I'm going.
That's why I don't do it anymore.
I told him, I said, just You make the decision. Tell me what we're doing. When you want this, and I'll put it down. And he's going, but I might leave somebody out. I says, it is guaranteed you're going to leave somebody out.
Yeah.
You have too many moving parts
that
here.
bridge. Yeah.
And so just get as many as you can, and we'll get you on because.
But it is a perfect place for a buddy weekend or something. It really is.
And so you need to be getting a hold of me now. Yeah. That's for sure. The wild hunts are there's only a limited number of those wild hunts because we're not going to overhunt anything. And so, like on Ron's place,
because you're actively managing it too.
We're managing
right? You're not just hunting, but managing.
And so there is only so many weekends we will open that up. Well, it's only open from, we have 4 months. It sounds like a lot, but it's not when you start talking about only how many weekends are in there. And so,
but the preserve could give a group some flexibility.
The preserve gives people flexibility, especially when they can come and they can go wild hunting one day, and then we shoot on the preserve.
You don't necessarily think of it that way, but
absolutely,
that's a great way to break it up.
And I had another guy call me the other day. They usually go to North Dakota, and they're not going to be able to do it this year because the scheduling just didn't work out for them. And it's too many days, and people are getting married and having babies, and their kids are. Imagine that life was happening, and so they're not going to be able to take us the 2-week deal or the week off. And so hey, Rusty, we need to come to the preserve because we want to shoot 15 roosters a day, and so that's the only way you're going to be able to do that. So those guys are calling me. So you need to get on the
so let's
on that
get
trip.
that nailed down, right?
Absolutely. And then, be thinking about it. Guys that are, the guys that are calling me now wanting to go deer hunting. Okay, you are way too late.
Yeah, we're talking next time.
I'm booking the first week in January every year. But you need to be thinking about it this year. If you're wanting to hunt with me or do something, you need to be contacting us and be thinking about that so that you can get in that first week in January.
Yeah, to be successful, there's training, there's practice, but there's also logistics, right? And you cannot wait till the last second. The season will pass you by. So.
Right. Well, and I pulled out my rifle the other day and I had to do some tuning.
Yeah.
We've been talking about archery for months now. If you haven't got your rifle out, you need to be getting your rifle out because we're getting closer.
You're a little bit behind.
You are a little bit behind, but
need to go to the range to work through a little bit.
I'm here to tell you, whatever you can do practice-wise, always take it up. We're giving you a bad time about being a little behind, but rifle season doesn't start till October, but
it'll be here before you know it.
It'll be here quickly, and you run out of days.
So breaking in your boots, trying out the new pack that you're going to use.
You need to be ordering those things.
Should be out there walking right now in the heat, getting
that down. Absolutely, but I'll still have the hunter that's hunted with me for the last 3 years, and he brings me the rifle, and we set him up on the bench the night before he's going to go hunting the next day, and you ask him, well, how much have you shot? Well, 0. I haven't shot any since I killed the deer last year. Okay, well.
Your chances go up significantly if you've practiced.
I'm going to have to work a little harder to get you a little closer. It's just the way it is. But, so those are the things that for the calendar-wise is we need to make sure guys are doing those kind of things.
And absolutely. This is to benefit them, not you, right? So this is get them on the books. So
to be totally honest, you're right. It's not but it does benefit me.
Well, it does, I guess. We want them to have a great experience.
We want them to have a great
experience. Not a rushed experience.
I want to have a good experience with them.
Exactly. I want to be successful.
Exactly. So
come back and do it again.
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
right. We want you to come back many, many times. From the Wenatchee Valley Museum and Cultural Center here in Wenatchee, thank you so much for the hospitality.
Yes, Jeff,
it's been
wonderful. Thank you.
This has been a lot of fun.
Thanks for the behind-the-scenes tours. That's what a great place. I can imagine what the night at the museum is going to be like. It's going to be pretty cool.
It's huge. And, like I said, we've got some great programs here for the community, for the kids, and pleasure to have you both here.
Thank
and
you
finally,
finally, exactly.
we did it, So.
We have. Good to see you,
Absolutely.
Jeff. It's just so much to go. So good to be here.
Well, Rusty, how can folks find you?
HiddenRanchOutfitters.com is still the best way to get a hold of us. Like I said, we've updated the website. The credit card stuff, we just cut the deal today for all of that. So that
phone numbers on there. Those things. When they call that number, you get the call, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
There is no staff.
I am the staff.
You are the staff.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
So, but it's going great.
Okay.
It's absolutely going great.
Great. Well, guys, we'll sign off this episode number 18.
And thanks for driving over, Dave.
Hey,
it's
you
good
bet.
to see you.
It's a great drive.
Thanks for flying and driving and doing all you do.
It's all I do is unload and load, unload and load. All right, guys. Well, everybody be safe. Thanks for listening, and we'll get you on the next episode.